hello a few minutes early. And it's always good to be a little bit early. Sometimes we find out things that otherwise would be hidden to us. So welcome in any possible language. In German, hello, wie geht's? In Swedish, hey, hur mår du? French, bonsoir, bonjour. Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo stai? Grazie. So all of these different languages. However, we are going to continue our journey here with the language of the heart. So today, as we are talking about a very interesting topic, to say the least, right? We are going to do it with the understanding from the heart, how to communicate from the heart. What kind of an awareness do I need to bring with me to really communicate from the heart? So I'm going to take a few breaths here and see if anyone is coming and or joining us in this. And if they are, wonderful. If not, it's all good. They can listen to it later. And no issues there. So I'm going to take some breaths. So, conscious breathing is really a very, very powerful thing to practice. So, today, this sharing will be in the understanding that the one who is speaking, the topic itself, and the one who is listening is one and the same being. And that is also to communicate from the heart. And there is really no more respectful way of treating another being than with this understanding. It creates the ultimate respect and the ultimate love. So the one who's talking, the talk itself, and the one who is listening is one and the same being. So when you're listening to this, at some point, allow yourself to move into that understanding and that awareness. So, space travel starts in the ocean. Now, if I've had, let's say, 20 people live here with me, probably they all will leave or have left at this point. So many years ago on Maui, I had this vision. Out of the ocean came this giant mothership, and she was scintillating in all of these different colors. I mean, you're talking about the colors of the rainbow, a whole different spectrum, right? I mean, all sorts of amazing and brilliant colors. And she was coming out of the ocean, and then she hovered above the ocean, not too far above the ocean, and dolphins and whales were traveling on a beam of light and beam of energy up into the ship and down into the ocean. And with it came the message that all dimensions are interconnected, and the different colors of this mothership was basically the vibration it was using at any given moment. So in that vision, I was led to understand that vibration gives off a certain color spectrum. And when the vibration shifts, these color spectrums shift as well. And I remember when I had that vision, I said, oh, I wish I was a painter. I wish I could really paint, because I really wanted to paint it, right? And so now I want to remind you that your body, your vehicle, your chariot really, is made up mostly out of water. Well, at least 70%. It's probably more than that, but let's be conservative here. 70% of water. And all the different minerals that exist in Mother Earth is also, your body is also made up out of that. Hence, when the body, we say dying, when the body is not functioning anymore, when the energy has left it, it goes back to its essence. And also in this part of the galaxy, this physical part of the galaxy, there are not that many water planets. And I have really no idea how many, and there's not that many. And this planet, Mother Earth, she is covered 2/3 of water. So I think common sense or critical thinking will allow anyone to come to a conclusion here. I mean, why would I incarnate? Why would I inhabit a vehicle mostly out of water and on a planet that's covered 2/3 of water, in this part of the galaxy that are very few water planets? I think, without being a psychic, it stands to reason that there is a lesson here. There is something to remember, because I truly don't believe that you and we can really be taught something that we don't already know. This process of learning and teaching, it's just basically removing the layers so we can start remembering who we really are. And when we start remembering things that seemed the unknown or very far-fetched, suddenly becomes almost a matter of fact. And that's the beauty of consciousness. Once we're awakening to a different plane, a lot of things just fall into place without a real effort. And so back to the oceans. So why would space travel start in the ocean? Well, I know that many of you, I mean the two of you right now, maybe later more, have seen ships, meaning starships, coming out of the ocean. And there's no doubt about it that there are bases or there are places within the ocean that these ships go to in a different dimension. And the dolphins and the whales are, in my humble way of understanding it after all of these years, messages and telepathic messages and so many things that I've experienced with them, that they are multi-dimensional travelers. And they use the portals within the ocean to travel to different dimensions. With other words, they don't need to come out of the water, go on a some sort of a rocket and fly to somewhere. They are accessing these dimensions from the ocean. And there are city of lights within the ocean as well in these different dimensions. So if you start looking at it from this point of view, the entire ocean is basically one huge vortex of portal made up out of very specific energy patterns. And part of the reason why the dolphins and the whales took on these bodies as dolphins and whales and is because within the ocean they can still maintain some integrity, they can still maintain their consciousness and still teach humans many, many valuable and very sacred teachings that needs to be revealed. And so the oceans has been the perfect place for the whales and the dolphins to travel in and out of different dimensions through the portals within the ocean. Now, when you look at freediving championships in Europe, they go down 400 feet with just a snorkel and big fins. And the ones who have done that, they say all the blood turns into oxygen and then are situated in the brain. So they become almost like in a different state. And in that state, the mind doesn't freak out or get fearful, so they can do this. I mean, during the Second World War, YouTube's submarines couldn't go that deep. The pressure was too enormous. And I'm sharing this with you that human beings, we have the capacity of living in water and on land. The human body has been pretty much misunderstood. In generally, we don't really understand how extremely powerful this body really is. I mean, the mechanism of this body, I mean, when you're thinking about technology that people think is advanced, well, you take the technology of the human body, we don't even come close to even, I mean, not even close. So the human body is a tremendous I call it a chariot, really, a chariot to take energies and transform these energies. And because of that, we have the capacity to be in the water. You know, the dolphins are, of course, conscious breathers, right? And each time they dive deep down, they have to come up and take a breath, right? And yet they exist within the water. You and I, under different circumstances, have the same capacity. Children that are born underwater. Somebody is asking if I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm going to answer yes. So children that are born underwater, and when the dolphins are present, these children, they can stay underwater easily for 15 minutes, pretty much like a dolphin. So, and I'm mentioning this, so in order to understand this topic here today, that space travel starts within the ocean. The ocean contains so much of the hidden sacred information we are looking for when we're traveling to the moon or any other planet. I've always said when I was a young man growing up in Sweden, said everything is backwards here. Instead of exploring and really understanding the ocean, we leave the planet to find the answers. Mother Earth, she is an interstellar library, if you like. I don't need to travel to Mars or Venus, or sure, I can do that. However, the information that we are looking for is within the womb of Mother Earth, within the ocean. You know, salt is a crystal, right? And all of you who are working with crystals, you know that whatever energy you put out, the crystal will maximize it in either direction, right? And so the salt is a crystal, and these crystals contains the real history of this planet. Like a crystal you have on land, it maintains information and knowledge. I mean, during the time of Atlantis, there was a giant crystals, which was really based upon the source of all energy, the God energy, if you so like. So the crystals have this capacity of maintaining and holding vibration and information. So when you and I are swimming and immersing ourselves in the ocean, we receive information. Now, if I'm aware of it, that would be better, obviously. However, either way, on a cellular level, we are picking up something. So, the ocean is such an amazing metaphor for space travel. Because, as I mentioned, within the ocean, there are portals that can take you through other dimensions. Just think about this for a second. That within the ocean in a different vibration, in a different frequency, you can travel into different realities, if you so like. You can access portals and go through these portals to other parts of the galaxy. And much, much, much more, of course. So sometimes when I'm contemplating all of this and thinking about it, I wonder if the oceans are being destroyed so this knowledge cannot be experienced. And maybe through the pollution and the dying of the coral reefs and all of these things that are happening within the ocean, I am not sure. I really don't know. And it's very likely that this somehow creates a way, like a lock on these portals, so we cannot access them. It's said in India when you do a ceremony, you do something, if it starts raining, the gods are happy. It's just started to rain. Oh my goodness. I'll take any blessing I can get for sure. And yeah, so the oceans. Don't take this for granted. Allow yourself to really understand what I'm sharing with you. So the next time when you have an opportunity to go and swim and dive, immerse yourself in the ocean with this awareness, with this understanding. I mean, I can do anything and I can do the same thing again, and the result depends on my intention and my vibratory level that I'm approaching anything, right? So I'm asking you, approach the ocean as the abode, as the mirror of your own heart and your own soul. The awesomeness, the depth, the beauty, the absolute amazing element of the ocean is really a mirror of your own soul. And just to contemplate that, wow. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? So, space travel starts in this understanding, in the portals to travel to different dimensions within the ocean. So what I'm really saying is that, yes, if I want to go to Venus, I don't necessarily need to build something that will take me there. It's easier to understand the ocean and the portals within the ocean and travel through those to go, for example, to Venus. This hasn't been taught. So much of the history is just a bunch of ideas and concepts and beliefs to keep us from rediscovering who we really are. And because you and I, we are energy, we are consciousness, we can travel within the ocean to different dimensions, to different realities, if you so like. Yes, obviously, I have to raise my vibration. I have to become aware of who I am. It's not like in a third dimensional body and consciousness I can just dive into the ocean and the portals opens up and I'll go to Venus. No. Takes a little bit of effort, right? However, because who we already are, and we are reawakening to this simple truth. And in my humble understanding, and I'm not a judgment, because who is there to judge when we're all one? What I don't understand is that what I'm sharing with people so freely and so openly and from my heart, that people are not wanting to listen to this. This is neither right or wrong, good or bad. However, we are living in very, very pivotal times. And I think anyone who is willing to share from his or her heart about certain information that will elevate my consciousness and elevate my understanding and allow myself to live this life the way it's meant to be lived, as a sovereign, human, divine being. Why people are not drawn to that? Well, I have a theory. I think I know why, but that's for another topic. And again, as I've said, it doesn't really matter if there's one person out there today, and later on a few people are listening to this, and they receive some sort of information that triggers off something for them to contemplate. Now, you can listen to this, right, and saying, oh, it's a bunch of whatever. Or you can listen to it as a possibility. You can listen if you feel in your heart that what I share with you is authentic and real. Your heart will tell you if it is. And so, space travel, now there are not so many, however, these billionaires that are spending a lot of money to go up in space for, I don't know what it is, 8-9 minutes. When what they are looking for can be found in their own consciousness, in the acceptance that they are energy, consciousness, divine, multi-dimensional beings. And in my next topic, I will tap into more of that. Who are people really, and how come there is these separations and differences about most subjects that are being discussed or talked about. But let's go back to the oceans. Much more fluidity and much more fun. So, and remember, 2/3 of the planet is covered in water. That's a lot. And so become aware of what I'm sharing with you. I'm not repeating myself. I'm emphasizing that become aware of the grace of Mother Earth and her tremendous gifts to all of us, provided we treat her with kindness and respect. And in order to treat Mother Earth so she can reveal her sacred teachings to us, I have to start treating myself with love, kindness, and respect. And when I accept myself in this way and start sharing from my heart authentically, then Mother Earth, the oceans, will start revealing information that otherwise would be very, very difficult to access. So this thing to love and respect myself serves a greater purpose. It's a form of worship of the divine. When I start seeing myself as divine, when I start seeing myself as this beautiful, perfect being, it becomes a sacred testimonial to the divine. And when that really happens, portals, not just within the ocean, portals within my own consciousness will blast open, and information and understandings will parade in front of me and sharing with me. You and I, at any given moment, we have this opportunity. So to destroy the oceans and to think and believe that our technology is taking us somewhere is foolishness. It's somewhat insane. When everything we are looking for has been provided right within us, it's closer than my own breath. Why then would I choose to focus on things that limit that possibility on any level? That doesn't make much sense, does it? So, what do you experience right now? What do you feel right now? Are you asking yourself, where does this information come from? Where has this being Eros, how does he know this? I don't know how I know it. I only know that I do. And that's been my path my whole life. Because at a very, very early age, as a young man in Sweden, I learned to trust that everything I was looking for is within myself. And so my life became a quest. So anyway, so space travel starts within the ocean. And of course, people, learned people, science, and so on, will of course come up with a whole different theory and idea and belief that what I'm sharing with you has no real value. And it really doesn't matter. Again, as I said so many times, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that when you and I start sharing with the understanding who we are and sharing from one heart to another heart, that all that matters, really. All the rest has no real meaning except entertainment for the mind and the intellect, until the mind remembers who it really is, divine consciousness. Then the mind, no, this is no more fun. I rather experience myself as Shakti, as divine energy. So these portals within the ocean, as I mentioned, the dolphins and the whales are using them. Sometimes when the Sirius B, the star, where the dolphins partly come from, is in a specific position in the heavens, the dolphins disappear and are not around for a while, maybe a week or so. Where are they? They are communicating like E.T. They're communicating with their home. And then also it's very interesting that when the whales are migrating from Alaska back into the Hawaiian Islands, the dolphins then sometimes vanish as well. They go on to be with the whales. And so, and during the time of Aristotle, apparently it was asked, how can dolphins move so quickly in the water? I mean, their body is like a big rubber, and the friction of the water and the rubber, scientifically seen, wouldn't make it possible to move in these speeds. And of course, they do it, right? Same thing with jumping of the whales. How can this giant beings, I don't know how many tons, jump out of the water? Scientifically seen, it is absolutely impossible. And they do it. So when we can observe this and not ask ourselves the question, how is that possible? How can we possibly understand that the ocean is the beginning and the end of space travel? So I trust that this has maybe shifted something for you. And I trust this will inspire you to look at yourself not from a limited human being, not from your storyline, which is so, it's like a rerun of a movie. After you've seen it 2 times, you don't want to watch it anymore, right? Most people's lives are like reruns, like the Groundhog Day. You remember that movie? Start looking at yourself as a possibility, an unlimited possibility. And focus on what is real and lasting. Not on the temporary insanity and no, focus on what's real and lasting. Time is a precious commodity, and use it wisely. And if you're ever interested, you can check out my website, eros.life, and there are some of my books. Time is Promised to No One and Conductor of Time. It's basically an autobiography of a star being. And so writing this book for 24 years, I dealt with the idea of time is limited, time is precious, and time has to be understood. So you might want to check that out. So all the planets, everything we see in the galaxy exists within you. All the oceans exists within you. It's time to expand your consciousness outside of this structure, this body, and start seeing yourself as a dimensional being existing on many different planes of consciousness at any given moment. And the time you and I have here on this planet is like one day and one night. So, I trust that this has allowed you to start looking at yourself in a different, or from a different vibration, and allow you to have the faith and the courage to live your life as a spiritual warrior. You know, a spiritual warrior, a true spiritual warrior, never gets angry. A true spiritual warrior doesn't get angry. So, it's been my great honor and my great joy to share this with you. And another quick comment about all of this. When you travel through physical space, you don't necessarily leave the vibration you came from. You don't age because there is no gravity, so you don't age. You could travel for 50 years and then you come back to planet Earth and people here are 50 years older and you are still the same age. However, your consciousness does not necessarily expand. So, next time you go down to the beach and watch the ocean, see it as the mirror of your own soul and your own heart, your own divine heart. From my heart to your heart. Have an amazing, beautiful time with yourself. And so Ashtakatila matwahatiak takatshkteala manaha Ishtakala la katukeala mahachut tekanaha Ikelamana wanakeha Ishkatekea tutu matekalenowaha Ishtunayalati Shuktakaya katamaha Matakamaha. With great respect, we shall see you again. Ciao.